Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with California Ag Network, reporting to you here today with Charlotte Mitchell from the California Farmland Trust. Farming in California is just a multi-generational effort, and there's a lot of tradition in that. And California Farmland Trust really does a great job with working with farmers across the state in protecting the interests and keeping these family farms going. So can you tell us, how does the Farmland Trust work?
Definitely. Every year about 50,000 acres of farmland is lost to urbanization, non-agricultural uses. And so we at the California Farmland Trust, we're a nonprofit organization working to provide a service to farmers and landowners of farmland who would like to see that land remain in agriculture forever. And we assist them by a transaction called a agricultural conservation easement. And it's our ability to purchase their development right. They get either a cash or a donation recognized by the IRS in exchange for that purchase of that development right, but ensures that that land remains in agriculture, whether it's passed on to the next generation or whether it's sold to other farmers. It ensures that that land remains in agriculture and it doesn't become one of the statistics of the conversion to non-agricultural uses.
We live in a great land of opportunity and liberty. So a lot of farmers, they own their land and they may think, well, we've got it, so why do we need to worry about getting the conservation easement you're talking about?
Yeah.
What's the significance of that? And potential threats that farmers may face to losing their farmland.
Yeah, right. With the great Mediterranean climate that we have here in California and the fact that we can raise over 400 commodities that are shipped globally, really California remains a steadfast place and a hardy economy for agriculture. So protecting these lands through an agricultural conservation easement has become one of the most reliable tools to ensure that we can continue to be an economic engine globally, and certainly one for California. Farmers choose to, do an agricultural conservation easement, and we choose to work with them if, in fact, the land, and all we work on is cultivated, irrigated farmland, as opposed to our other partners in the land trust world that may work on rangeland or habitat land. Our uniqueness of the organization, in which we are the only organization that really does transactions specifically on irrigated, cultivated ag land in California, and our main focus is throughout the Central Valley. So again, we purchase that development right from a landowner, and we go through a transaction called an agricultural conservation easement that is recorded on the land, and it goes with the land when the land is transferred or sold. And we want to make sure that that land stays in viable agricultural production, because our easements, unlike other forms of easements, really protect the farmer as the species and the farmland as the habitat. And I try to use that because farmers will get confused about conservation easements, and that some misconceptions out there is from that somebody tells them how to farm, they can only farm certain crops. And those are really indicative of habitat easements, which we don't do. We do agricultural conservation easements. So it really is about the farmer and the farmland, keeping the land viable. And so that land has to ensure that it's of good quality soils, that it has the ability to be irrigated, and that it has somewhat of a level of threat and from urbanization, because we were really trying to signal to local land use planners that there is these lands that are of high value to the industry that need to be protected for the long term. And so these easements really allow the farmer to change crops, to do all the normal farming practices that they're accustomed to doing. We work with them. We find the money that is needed if they elect to do the purchase, us purchasing their development right. There's other options that go with that, and we leave that up through lots of discussions that we have with landowners about what is the best financial position that they want to get out of this. and we work through all those conversations with them. And at the end of the day, it acts like a real estate transaction, and it goes through an escrow account. And the end result is that the land ultimately is protected. The landowner can sell it, transfer it to other family members or other parties, and it really comes with the confidence that they can put the investments into that land that ensure that agriculture continues to be viable for themselves, their families, the region, the community, and the state. And that's I think, the beauty of these agricultural conservation easements.
Well, it sounds like you really got nothing to lose in this in doing this. So, as far as the cost though and financing this, is that something that the farmer is responsible for in part, or how does that work?
That is where we come in. And again, we work on behalf of the landowners who wish to do this on a voluntary basis. We work with them to explain the process from front to center, and we do it as many times as we need to in order to for the family and all the parties involved to really understand the transaction part of it. But when that determination comes down, they want us to move forward. We work on their behalf to secure the funding. We work with our grant partners, primarily Department of Conservation, and sometimes with the NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, to find those grant funds in which they're out there that are helping to do the work that we're doing. We oftentimes will have to match funds, and that's where our donors and supporters come involved, where we ask for some assistance in making those match donations so that we can protect the lands and many more of them throughout the Central Valley. And then we do all the paperwork. We do all the legal work. We do that transaction part and work with them in tandem to ensure that what is in the easement document itself is catered to their property, to their individual goals, to what they think that property is going to have to service, forever. And there's a big decision that needs to be made by the landowner, because these easements don't come apart very easily. They're not something that can just be washed away when another party doesn't want it on the land. They're robust, so we really make sure that we've spent a lot of time for them so they can consider that the land will be protected. It'll be protected forever. We're purchasing that development right from them. We hold the easement, and we're back visiting with them every year just to make sure the terms of the easement are being followed. And that's really it. We try to have really robust relationships with the landowners that are under conservation easements, so that they sure see us as a working partner with them for the long term.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time, Charlotte. I think behind California agriculture, there are so many multi-generational farmers involved. It's a legacy, it's a tradition, and it sounds like this is all about protecting that tradition for many generations to come, not just for consumers here in California to be able to enjoy fresh produce, but also globally, because the food that's grown here goes all over the world. So this is something to be proud of that you're involved in, and we're grateful for your efforts in that. We encourage farmers to get involved and contact the Farmland Trust. Read more about these things in our publications. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.